Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Edim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Yayan Udirayet. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, entitled Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Today's verses, 31st. taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ prāṇasya kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ prāṇasya kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ prāṇasya kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ prāṇasya kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā. Vaishnavis, please. taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ prāṇasya kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ prāṇasya kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā taijasāni, produced from egoism in the mode of passion. Indriyāṇi, the senses. Eva, certainly. Kriya, action. Jnana, knowledge. Vibhāgaśaḥ, according to. Prāṇasya, of the vital energy. He, indeed, kriyā-śaktiḥ, the senses of action, buddheḥ, of the intelligence, vijñāna-śaktitā, the senses for acquiring knowledge. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Egoism, in the mode of passion, produces two kinds of senses. Senses for acquiring knowledge and the senses of action. The senses of action depend on the vital energy, and the senses for acquiring knowledge depend on intelligence. Purport. It has been explained in the previous verses that mind is the product of ego in goodness, and the function of the mind is acceptance and rejection according to desire. But here, intelligence is said to be the product of ego in passion. That is the distinction between mind and intelligence. Mind is a product of egoism in goodness, and intelligence is a product of egoism in passion. The desire to accept something and reject something is a very important factor of the mind. Since mind is a product of the mode of goodness, if it is fixed upon the Lord of the mind, Aniruddha, then the mind can be changed to Krishna consciousness. It is stated by Narottama Ṭhākura that we always have desires. Desires cannot be stopped. But if we transfer our desires to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the perfection of life. As soon as the desire is transferred to lording it over material nature, it becomes contaminated by matter. Desire has to be purified. In the beginning, this purification process has to be carried out by the order of the Spirited Master. Since the Spirited Master knows how the disciples' desires can be transformed into Krishna consciousness. As far as intelligence is concerned, it is clearly stated here that it is a product of egoism in passion. By practice, one comes to the point of the mode of goodness. And by surrendering or fixing the mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes a very great personality or mahātmā. In Bhagavad-gītā, it is clearly said, sa mahātmā sudurlabhaḥ. Such a great soul is very rare. In this verse, it is clear that both kinds of senses, the senses for acquiring knowledge and the senses for action, are products of the egoism in the mode of passion. And because the sense organs for activity and for acquiring knowledge require energy, the vital energy or life energy is also produced by egoism in the mode of passion. We can actually see, therefore, that those who are very passionate can improve in material acquisition very quickly. It is recommended in the Vedic scripture that if one wants to encourage a person in acquiring material possessions, one should also encourage him in sex life. We naturally find that those who are addicted to sex life are also materially advanced, because sex life or passionate life is the impetus for the material advancement of civilization. For those who want to make a spiritual advancement, there is almost no existence of the mode of passion. Only the mode of goodness is prominent. We find that those who engage in Krishna consciousness are materially poor, but one who has eyes can see who is the greater. Although he appears to be materially poor, a person in Krishna consciousness is not actually a poor man. But the person who has no taste for Krishna consciousness and appears to be very happy with material possessions is actually poor. Persons infatuated by material consciousness are very intelligent in discovering things for material comfort, but they have no access to understanding the spirit soul and the spiritual life. Therefore, if anyone wants to advance in the spiritual life, he has to come to the platform of purified desire. A purified desire for devotional service, as stated in Nara Pancharatra, engagement in the service of the Lord when the senses are purified in Krishna consciousness is called pure devotion. This purport alone can save us from the repetition of birth and death. So nice. Srila Prabhupada is a genius. Om Ajnana-timiram dasya Gyanam-gyana-shalakaya Chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadam Tikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopeka Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakam chana gaurangi radhe vrindavaneshwari prishavanu sute devi pranamami haripriye vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindupya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vasamyaham yatrayano vimugdo mugdhai mathai lokani haiva dukhe kripa maye tvad karunena radhe sandarsayishyami yanaya tattvam. Taijasānīndriyāṇi kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ prāṇasya hi kriyā-śaktir buddher vijñāna-śaktitā. Egoism, the mode of passion, produces two kinds of senses: the senses for acquiring knowledge and the senses of action. The senses of action depend on vital energy, and the senses for acquiring knowledge depend on intelligence. So we're continuing in this very philosophical chapter titled The Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, and it's one of the one of the main topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. As we all know, Bhagavatam has 10 topics, and any scripture to be considered a Mahapurana, it has to talk about 10 topics. Atra sarga visarga shastanam poshanam uptaya manvantaram nisaram kata nirodho muktirashrayah. There are 10 topics in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's why it's called the Mahapurana, because it speaks about these 10 topics. The sarga, the primary creation, then comes visarga, the secondary creation, the creation made by Brahma and all his descendants, Atra sarga visarga shastanam, the planetary situation and situation of different living entities according to the level of consciousness. And then Poshana means, basically means how the Lord nourishes and take care of the creation, especially of the devotees. Sanam Poshana Uttaya. Uttaya means utti, the impetus or in other words, means like inner nature. So we have like two natures represented in this material world, in the demonic nature and the divine nature. And then the Uttaya topic can be very nice described, or is very nice described in the Canto 7, when we see that Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu represent, both types of natures. Then Uttaya Manvantara. Manvantara speaks about the different Manvantaras and different manus of creation and everything. Then Ishanukata, different pastimes of the Lord, not only of the Lord, but also pastimes of his devotees. And then Nirodha, which means basically deals with the topics of how the Lord winds up the creation at the time of dissolution, and then as a result mukti, liberation, and then ashraya, which is considered by Srila Jiva Goswami and also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, both of them in their commentaries of Bhagavatam, consider the ashraya, or taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is actually the main topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, it's the ultimate goal for a human being, or for a conditioned soul. But the previous topics are also to be understood as far as one's intelligence goes. Because, and Prabhupada explained this many times, that if we don't understand these pastimes or these topics and how they're related with the Supreme Lord, we won't be able to properly understand the topics of ashraya, or like taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, and what to speak of understanding the intimate pastimes of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world, which this actually is the ultimate goal for somebody who is aspiring to be a Vaishnava. I'm sorry. So these are very interesting topics, and His Holiness Bhakti Vijñāna Maharaj, he has this series of lectures of the review of the main topics of Bhagavatam. And when he comes to this particular topics of Swarga, or talking about the Sankhya philosophy, he explained that one of the reasons, another reason why it's so important to listen to these pastimes or listen to these activities is because it grants liberation. So the more we read and try to understand these kind of topics, the more we realize that we are not the body, this is the beginning of spiritual life. It's the understanding, like first instruction of Kṛṣṇa in the Bhagavad-gītā, that Dehi nosmin yata dehe, a very well-known verse. So the more we hear about this, the more we realize that we're not this material body, that everything in the material world is just different permutations and interactions of the modes of nature with the senses, and from one element comes another, and then there's always the influence of time. And it's not like one has to become really like a scholar into this and forgetting the Lord. Just like last night, I was invited to give a class to some devotees in Turkey, and because they come from the Islam background, many of them has this impersonal conception of the absolute truth, and as a result, they're not experiencing any ecstasy in their religions or spiritual practice, so to speak. So there was this young girl, maybe 20, 21, and then she said, she was telling me that why I saw that she's very, she's very familiar with these topics of Sankhya. And then she has read so many yoga sutras and so many books, but she is not experiencing any happiness. Actually, she said, well, I found myself today, it was last night for us, it was 6:30 in the morning or 7 in the morning for them. And then she was saying that I'm making bread and reading the yoga sutras, but I find no satisfaction in my life. Even though I spend so many hours reading these topics and I know so much, I have so much knowledge about this, but I feel no satisfaction. So I quoted this very verse about the 10 topics of Bhagavatam, and I explained her that ultimately all these topics are meant to understand the material nature, or in this case, the Sankhya philosophy, or topics related to Ashraya, to Swarga and Visarga. They're meant to understand that ultimately material nature comes from the Lord. And the pastimes that the Lord performed in relation with this, with devotees in the material world should be understood, or at least should be heard. And then there is also a verse, which I forget the Sanskrit, I think, which is at the end of, it's the last verse of the 7th chapter of the 2nd canto, which says something like, that have to be read, because it's a very important verse and describe actually what Srila Prabhupada did throughout all his preaching activities in the West. It's 2750 something. Okay, 2753. Mayam varna yato musya ishwarasya anumodata shrinatam shraddhaya nityam mayayatma namuyati. The Lord's activities in association with these different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusory energy of the Lord. This is the most important statement, because that's what Prabhupada did. He was actually in the translation that Jiva Goswami gives and Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura, they both gave a similar translation of that verse. Generally, Prabhupada is, I have read both commentaries. 3 of them, the Krama Sandarbha, the Sarata Darshini, of course, Prabhupada. And, generally Prabhupada's commentaries and translations are way more elaborate. Vishwanath Chakravarti, he gives few lines, especially in translations. Commentaries, especially in the 10th canto, he really goes deep. So same does Jiva Goswami. But mainly he says that if the jiva hears about Maya, he will be free from Maya. That's all he said, And that's what Prabhupada did. he spoke about like the fundamental principles of material nature, just like this purport is pretty nice put together. How he explains that those who are in the different modes of nature, especially he emphasized of those who are in the mode of passion, they cannot make any spiritual advancement. And those who are devotees, or for those who are devotees, we see that the mode of passion is almost nil. The predominance of the mode of goodness could be fine, and as a result, they are poor and materialistic. They are very rich. So these different things have to be heard if somebody wants to become free from Maya, because as long as the conditioned soul continues under the influence of the material nature, it will be impossible for us to understand the topic of Ashraya, which is the main topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So, His Holiness Bhakti-Vijñāna Maharaj goes on saying that therefore we see that throughout the entire Bhagavatam, this topic is repeated again and again. I mean, not again and again, but at least twice in the second canto, I think twice in the third canto, and then again in the 11th canto, the same topic is explained once again. And therefore, by hearing, also he says that, he put the example that when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, and he will die in 7 days, as we know, he left everything, his kingdom, his wife, riches, and everything, and he came to the bank of the Ganges, and then he approached all the sages, and then he asked, what should I do? What should I hear? I'm about to die in 7 days, and what is the topic? What is, the main topic that I should hear before passing away? And then several sages they start talking about this. You should do this, you should that. But it was until Sukadeva Goswami appeared, and then he spoke Bhagavad-gītā that he was fully satisfied and fully realized. But from the beginning, this is the main point, or the point that I want to make. He wasn't talking about rasa dance or like Gopi-gītā. I'm reading the Gopi-gītā with one devotee this entire Kartik, and it's really sweet, definitely. Even the Sanskrit, you read the Sanskrit, that it's such a sweetness, it's just like Krishna's flute. When you come to verses like this one, it's also sweet, of course, but you'll see kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ, it's kind of more philosophical. But then when we go to the 10th canto, everything is sweet. But Sukadeva Goswami, he started saying, actually the first he congratulated Parikshit Maharaj, because he asked such a good question. Variyang esate prashna, kritaloka, kritam nipam, atmavan sadmati pumsam, shrottavyadisu yat paraha. That the question you have asked is a very good question. And the answer to that question constitute the prime subject matter for all human beings. And this is approved by learned transcendentalists. Then he goes on to explain the same thing that Prabhupada has said in the purport. He gave the symptoms and the qualities of a person who is materially advanced, or let's say under the influence of the mode of passion generally, mode of ignorance. So he said that these people, they spend the entire night sleeping or indulging in sex life, and then during the morning, maintaining the families and making money, or running here and there, where is money, and maintaining their families. And therefore, as a result, they become very attached to those family members, and the hapatya kalatradisu atma saine swasat swapi pramatam. They become pramata. They become mad after this materialistic way of life. The word pramata is used a lot in the first 9 cantos of Bhagavatam. Maybe I remember in another verse. nunam pramata kurutevi karma, or evan grihesu saktanam pramatanam tadithaya, when, Vidura is preaching to Dhritarashtra that he should leave home because insurmountable time doesn't wait for anyone. So you should leave right now. You should not stay, because those who remain attached to this griha, and griha, interestingly, generally we think that griha means only like being in the home with the wife and husband, but also griha, Prabhupada explains he has this very nice lecture and this famous verse, Nate vidu swartagating hi Vishnu, from the 7th canto. Oh, the previous one, Matirna Krishna paratosvatova mito grita yeta grihabhratanam. So when he's explaining this grihabhratanam, he explained that griha means also those who want to remain in this material world. Because somebody may say, yeah, I'm free from all these entanglements of wife and kids and this and that, therefore I'm already liberated. No, if you are attached to your dog or to making money, or like nowadays people get attached to, I don't know, even social media or so many other things, therefore, what is that? Oh yeah. So yeah, Prabhupada explained that this is also kriyā-jñāna-vibhāgaśaḥ. So the point that Maharaj was making in this class, or in this seminar, is that by constantly hearing about this topic, one develops the necessary detachment to be able to cross over the ocean of material, the ocean of repeated birth and death, and ascend to the platform of sattva guna, which is the bridge that connects us with the transcendental platform. And so sometimes, reading this purport, especially that part when Prabhupada speaks about the mode of passion and how the mode of goodness is prominent in the life of devotees, and therefore they are poor, or sometimes they appear to be very poor. Sometimes some devotees, they misunderstand, and they think that, we should make money for Kṛṣṇa. Definitely we should make money for Kṛṣṇa, but sometimes they're making money from themselves, isn't it? And not for Kṛṣṇa. And they say, well, but that is also good because of, if I have a really nice house and, and nice cars and this and that, then I can practice devotional service in a better way. Not everyone is so renowned. Some people, their nature is more passionate and they need this or that. That's great, but eventually one should become detached from this. This is not the ultimate, goal of life, to be, wasting the time here and there trying to increase or improve the condition in the material world, because ultimately this material world is a place of miseries and suffering, and you can improve your situation as far as your karma and your destiny goes, but you cannot go beyond it. And then sometimes when people are over endeavoring, and this is forbidden, attahara prayasa. Rupa Goswami has said to us, don't over endeavor, even if it's for devotional service. And I remember also Prabhupada saying a few times that if we're over endeavoring, let's say in a construction of a temple, and we have no time to really do our devotional service, and it's becoming very painful, and we're making no advancement in that construction, on that project, then we should kind of take a time, or at least give up that stuff. So the main point is that unless we come to the platform of sattva guna, sattva guna, it will be very difficult to understand transcendence. This is how it is explained even by Kṛṣṇa himself in the Bhagavad-gītā, where he says that those who those who are in the mode of sattva, in the mode of goodness, they generally go up. They improve, spiritually speaking as well. Their consciousness improves. But those who remain in the mode of, or those who are in the mode of passion, they generally, remain in this planet. They have to come again to this material world, or to this planet Earth, to perform karmic activities. And then yagajña guna vrittista adogachanti tamasaha. But those who engage in abominable, sinful activities, they go down. They enter into lowest species of life. And therefore, the process of bhakti yoga, as Prabhupada mentioned in the last line of the purport, quoting Narapancharatra, that engagement in the service of the Lord when the senses are purified. Tat paratvena nirmalam. One should purify the senses and should purify the desires. That is the sum of substance of devotional, the secret of bhakti yoga. Is not giving up all the desires. And as Prabhupada says in the purport, that in the beginning, one have to be directed by the spiritual master, because he understands our conditioning. He can see what type of desires we have under which mode of nature, so he can engage those properly in devotional service. But when eventually they become purified, then the devotee, it comes to the spontaneous platform when he practices devotional service without any designation or any ulterior motive. So yeah, I will end the class here. If there is any question or comments or okay, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh my God.